So let's do it. Start standing, palms forward, great big shoulder shrug, big inhale up, and exhale back and down, keeping those palms forward. Repeat, great big shoulder shrug, great big yawn. Inhale up, exhale back and down, knees soft, toes spread, shoulder shrug. Inhale up, and exhale back and down. Inhale, take both arms up and overhead. Hook your thumbs together. Let me step back so you can see my thumbs. Hook your thumbs together. Maybe take your feet a little wider apart and start swinging your hips side to side. I always think of this one as the Valley Girl pose. And that's quite a dated reference. So go ahead, do your best Kim Kardashian here. Maybe put on a stiletto. Throw those hips wide side to side and get a good stretch and a good yawn as you Valley Girl, as you Kardashian, and just stretch and yawn and get acquainted with what your body feels like this morning. And if it works for you, don't forget to breathe. You're going to come to neutral and exhale, release your arms down to your sides. Turn your palms forward, repeat, shoulder shrug, inhale up, exhale back, and down. Palms stay forward, shoulder shrug, inhale up, exhale back and down. One more time, great big shoulder shrug, great big yawn, inhale up, and exhale back and down. This time, take your arms up and overhead, interlace your fingers, flip your palms up towards the sky, and shift your weight from side to side. And as you do this, you're going to get a little bit more of a wrist stretch. So both knees stay unlocked. As you shift your weight side to side, press up through the heel of one hand and then the heel of the other hand. And breathe and stretch and yawn. And then pick a side, any side, it doesn't matter which. Stay there, keep breathing, keep your knees unlocked, and then flip the toes backwards. So you get a bit of a toe stretch. Pressing up through the heel of your hand, getting a stretch on the top side of your foot. You're in charge of how much pressure you put on that foot. Get a good morning stretch. And switch, shift, stretch. Keep that standing knee unlocked. Press up through the heel of your hand. Feel the wrist stretch as well. And come to neutral. Pressing up through both hands, draw your shoulders down away from your ears, pull your belly in, unlock both knees, and bring your hands behind your head. Big chesty breath, inhale. And as you exhale, let those shoulders melt down away from your ears. Knees unlocked, belly pulled in, big inhale. Shoulders melt down. One more time, big inhale, big chesty breath. And as you exhale, release. All right, you're going to step your feet wide. Martial arts, this might be called horse stance. So you're going to take your feet wide, and there is a customized measurement for you in which when you bend your knees go directly over your ankles. So you do want to go fairly wide. You don't want to be doing a plie. This is not ballet. You also don't want to go so wide that when you bend your knees, your shins are angling down at a diagonal. So customize your measurement. Notice my feet are also pointing forward. Knees over ankles. Good. Shoulders up, back, and down. Find those hips, and you're going to hip sway side to side. So I'm pressing down through one heel, then pressing down through the other to help drive my hips side to side. And I put on a waistband today so you could see my hips tipping. Maybe tuck that shirt in so you can see that a little bit better. So I'm pushing one heel, pushing the other, getting my hips to tick-tock side to side, sticking out one hip, then sticking out the other. And now you're going to come to neutral and get that hip tick-tocking, maybe pushing through one heel than the other, but it's more of a hip thing, not so much as shifting your weight side to side. It's just tipping your hips. You might even think of it as an up and down movement. Sometimes it does help to grab a hold of those hips, feel them moving, get those hips to sway side to side. And then let's refine this technique and get a little bit more tips, a little bit more hip action. So find this butt cheek, give it a squeeze, and this hip comes up. Find this butt cheek, give it a squeeze as you release the other one, that hip comes up. So it's a squeeze, squeeze. One butt cheek squeezes, the other one releases. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. Alternating butt squeezes. Tick tock, tick tock. And breathe. Just get acquainted with squeezing and releasing real fast. Squeeze, release, one butt cheek at a time. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. And again, your stance will determine whether or not you're feeling this in the groin. So if you're feeling it in the pelvic floor, the groin, your feet are probably a little too far apart. But you still want those knees bent. Tick, 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 tick. And then come to neutral. I'm going to straighten my legs without locking. And now I'm going to let my butt cheeks kind of flap. Maybe my thighs start flapping too. So I'm just going to do a side to side thing with those hips. Give it a jiggle. Knees stay unlocked. If it works for you, I challenge you to hinge forward a little bit. It's not quite twerking. It's more of a side to side flappy butt cheek thing. Let those butt cheeks relax. Flap in the breeze. Okay. And then come all the way back up and drop back into it. Shoulders up, back and down. Drop down into it. Maybe your toes turn out a little bit. And your challenge now is to get more space between those knees. So dropping down low, push your knees back, 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 back. Pulsing those knees back. Pulsing those knees back, engage some of those back of the leg muscles, butt muscles. And as you engage those back of the thigh, knee muscles, butt muscles, you're going to start opening up the groin, pelvic floor. Again, if you're feeling it in the groin, pelvic floor, maybe your feet are a little too wide. You want to be comfortable. And you're getting down low and you're pulling those knees back, 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 back. And you're doing your best to breathe. And you're just pulling back, 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 back. Toes are relaxed. I've got arches in my feet. And I'm pulling those knees back. And then straighten up. Keep those knees unlocked. Give it a jiggle. Get those thighs to flap. Get those butt cheeks to flap. So it's not so much a chest thing. It's a hip and butt thing. Keeping your knees unlocked, maybe hinging forward a little bit. And come back up and drop down again. Knees back. One butt cheek, then the other. Knees stay back. One butt cheek, then the other. Trying to keep my arms out of the way here. My knees are staying back as I tick-tock my hips. One butt cheek, then the other. And I'm dropping down low, and my knees are wide, and I'm tick-tocking. Butt cheek, butt cheek, butt cheek, butt cheek, alternating. Getting a bit of a thigh workout, warming up already. And then once again, straighten up without locking those legs. Give it a slosh, give it a jiggle, maybe hinge over. If it works for you, continue to hinge over. If it works for you to bring your hands down onto the blocks or onto the floor, see if you can keep jiggling. Keep your knees unlocked as you come into Uttanasana, wide-legged forward fold. And then settling in, toes turn in, heels kick out, knees stay unlocked, butt cheek relaxed, hinging over, hands come to the floor. Maybe your elbows come down onto blocks. Maybe your elbows go down onto the floor. Then you breathe. Keep your knees unlocked. Now, getting really acquainted with your hips and your butt today. With your toes turned in, your heels kicking out. Engage like you are spreading your heels, trying to rip the mat apart between your feet, and feel those sit bones widen. Your backside blossoms like a flower. Knees stay unlocked and really spread those heels hard. Feet don't go anywhere because you're on a sticky mat, but you might feel those sit bones spreading. Knees unlocked, toes relaxed, heels pressing wide, and you breathe. So notice how activating your feet, engaging your legs has an impact and influence on your hips and your butt, your pelvis. We're going to use that. So bend your knees, hands come up onto your lap, pull your belly in as you roll, inhale, come all the way up to standing. Maybe turn your toes out slightly, drop it like it's hot. Knees push back, feet press down hard. The harder you push your feet down into the ground and pull your knees back, the lower you can go. So feet down hard, knees back wide, and pull your tummy in. And then drop your belly out and pull your tummy in. And drop your belly out. Pull your tummy in and drop it out. Think about wading into cold water, the water creeping up your thighs towards your genitals. Oh no, cold water, pull in and then release. Cold water creeps up and then release. This is a pelvic floor, a lower belly lift, and then drop. And that drop, being holiday season, maybe you're familiar with that sick belly, blah, pukey sensation. That's that feeling of drop. So cold water creeps up, pull up, pull up, pull up, and then let it all drop, but faster than what I'm talking about, okay? Up and down and up and drop and up and drop and up and drop. And you're pushing down into your feet and you're pulling your knees wide and you're sitting down low, belly up and down, up and down, up and down. Good, and then straighten up, toes in, heels out, knees unlocked, give it a jiggle, let it waggle, hinging over, letting it waggle. This is a side to side again. You're not twerking, it's a side to side thing. Knees unlocked, hands come on down, come into this forward fold. Toes in, heels out, Uttanasana, knees unlocked. Keeping those knees unlocked, spread those feet. Press your heels wide. Stretch out your backside. And breathe. You're going to go through that whole sequence again. So bend your knees, hands on your lap. Exhale, pull your tummy in. Inhale, round all the way up to standing. Customized stance. I'm going to take a moment to shake out a leg. A break in between sets or rounds. And then once again, find that customized measurement for you. Good horse stance with your knees over your ankles. Good. Toes forward or maybe turned out slightly as you drop down. Knees push back, push down into your feet, get a little bit lower, push down hard into your feet, pull your knees back, locate those butt muscles, squeeze one, then the other, squeeze and release. Tick-tocking hips here. You want to throw your hands into the mix. Sometimes it helps to add the hands. Squeeze, release, alternating butt cheeks. Okay. Feet pressing down, knees pushing wide, alternating butt cheeks. I got plans for these hips. And then straightening up, turning your toes in, keeping those knees unlocked. Give it a jiggle. Keep jiggling, hinging over. Coming into that Uttanasana. Knees unlocked, hands on your lap. Coming all the way back up to standing. Shoulders up, back and down. Drop it like it's hot. Maybe your toes turn out a little bit. Knees are wide, feet pressing down hard. Shoulders up, back and down. Find that pelvic floor. Cold water and puke. Cold water, blah. Cold water, blah. Keep going. So this is not a hey baby type of move. You're not a little dog humping somebody's leg or anything like that. It's a little bit more sophisticated than that. It's a pelvic floor lift, a lower belly lift and drop, lift and drop, lift and drop. And you're breathing. And you're pushing your feet down and you're pushing your knees wide and you're getting this little pelvic action happening. And then you straighten up. And again, give it a jiggle, let everything go. And keep that jiggle going, hinging forward. Hands coming onto blocks, all the way down to the floor. And your toes are turning, your heels are kicking out. You're coming into a nice deep forward fold. You can go ahead, stop jiggling. Maybe put your elbows on blocks. Maybe put your elbows on the floor. And then spread those heels. Keep your knees unlocked. Spread those heels hard. Get some good hip opening action here. Knees bent, hands on your lap. Exhale, pull your tummy in. Inhale, roll all the way up to standing. Step together, shake a leg or two. Grand finale, got one more horse stance here. And then we're going to turn it into a yoga pose. And hopefully you will have new sensation, more control in that yoga pose. So one more time, one last time. Do it for the children. Tip your feet nice and wide. Come into that horse stance. Drop it like it's hot. Push down into your feet so you can get a little bit lower. Maybe turn your toes out. Push your knees wide. Push those feet down hard so you can get low. Push those knees wide. Now spread your heels. You're doing two things with those feet. You're pushing down hard and you're spreading your heels hard. And you're pulling in that pelvic floor and you're shrugging your shoulders up, back, and down. And you're pushing your feet down hard and you're pushing your knees back and you're spreading your feet and you're pulling in that pelvic floor as you drop a little bit lower. And you breathe and you hold and you push those feet down hard and you spread your feet down wide and you push your knees out and you pull in that pelvic floor. And then you straighten up. Oh, one last time, toes in, heels out, jiggle. Imagine doing this on camera, uploading a YouTube video of you doing this. I'm not turning around. Go ahead, hinge over. Jiggle, 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 jiggle. Bend your knees. Roll all the way up to standing. And step your feet together. Shake out a leg or two. All right, warrior two. And take your feet wide. Now turn your right toes to the right. Turn your left toes to the right. Now this stride width is probably a little wider than you were just working with. That's okay though, because you're only going to be bending one knee. So shoulders up, back, and down. Take a moment to find those hips. Tick-tocking those hips side to side. Right? Squeeze one butt cheek. Release it as you squeeze the other butt cheek. Release it, squeeze a butt cheek. Squeeze the other butt cheek, so alternating. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. Getting a good tip in the hips here. Let's go ahead, squeeze the right butt cheek, release the left. Let the right knee bend. So just the right butt cheek is squeezing, the left one is relaxed. The right knee is bent. The right knee pushes wide. The right foot pushes down hard. Maybe you lunge a little bit lower. And if you're looking at yourself on camera, you might want to inch that foot out a little bit wider so that when you push down into that heel and you lunge a little bit lower, the knee stays over the ankle. Knee pushes wide out to the side. Squeezing just one butt cheek, the other one is relaxed. Good. And breathe. Pelvic floor, cold genitals, pull them up. And straighten. Always better the second time. Invite that right knee to bend. Swing that right knee wide. Push down hard into that right foot. Cold genitals. Only the right butt cheek squeezes. The left one is relaxed. And straighten up. One more time. Big inhale. Exhale, drop it like it's hot. Push down hard into that foot. Knee back. Squeezing just the right butt cheek, letting the left butt cheek relax. How low can you go? Cold water creeping up. And straighten up. From that warrior two, we're going to go for the full warrior two. We'll be transitioning into a triangle, and the triangle is going to be kind of interesting. Let that knee bend again. Push down hard into the foot. Knee swings back. Squeezing just the right butt cheek, left butt cheek relaxes. Pelvic floor pulls in. You can finish your warrior two with your arms out. Now, maybe you have control over this leg. Maybe you can squeeze this butt cheek and pull this thigh back, tipping your hips. Let the right butt cheek relax. Now activate the left butt cheek because we're pulling up that left hip. Squeeze that left butt cheek, relax the right butt cheek, pull the right leg into socket, drag in with the right foot. Get a good tip in the hips as you come over into your triangle pose. Bottom hand weighs nothing. Maybe the bottom hand rests on your shin, or it might go onto the block to the outside of your ankle. Triangle pose. Good hip opening, just standing around. Good. And let that right knee bend again. You can find your hands on your hips and tip your hips the other way. So squeeze that right butt cheek. Let that right hip rise. Let your left butt cheek relax. Resume that warrior two. Lift that right arm up. Reverse your warrior two. Push down hard into your right foot. Drop a little lower into this warrior two. Reverse warrior two. And then inhale, come all the way up. Oh, step your feet together. Good morning, hips. Maybe give it a jiggle. Give it a good slosh side to side. And let's step feet wide and do that on the other side. Feet go nice and wide. All the toes turn to the left. Nice wide stride between your feet. Knee unlocks. Shoulders up, back, and down. Warrior two stance. Check that distance. You might need to take your feet a little bit wider. Push down hard into that left foot so that your hips drop down lower. Swing that left knee to the left. Pull up on that pelvic floor, cold water. Yeah. Squeezing just the left butt cheek, letting the right butt cheek drop. And then straighten up. Toes relaxed. Push down hard into the foot. Pull the knee back. Pelvic floor lifts. Right, this is your left butt cheek squeezing. Right butt cheek relaxed. And straighten. And again, left hip is pulling up. Left butt cheek is engaged. Right butt cheek dropping. Pushing down hard into that foot. Pulling the knee back. And straighten. Getting a little lower each time. You might need to widen that stride between your feet. One more time. Bending the knee. Push down hard into the foot. Pull the knee back. Pull up on that pelvic floor. Left butt cheek is engaged. Right butt cheek relaxed. And let's turn this into a triangle pose. So let's tip the hips. Pull up on that right butt cheek. Relax. Let the left butt cheek drop. Pulling the heel towards your groin. Tipping over into that triangle pose. And again, you could have your hand on your shin or your hand on a block. Really engaging these hips. The right hip, butt cheek pulling up. You're pulling on tight pants. Left butt cheek floppy. And pelvic floor pulled in. And then let's tip the hips the other way. So you're going to relax the top hip and engage the left hip now. Squeeze that left butt cheek. Drop the right buttock. Let the knee bend. Reverse that warrior two. Stamp that left foot down hard into the ground. You can drop a little bit lower into this reverse warrior two. And come all the way up. Whew. And step your feet together. Give it a shake, give it a jiggle. Hoo, 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 hoo. And you thought today was a chilly day. And if you're like me, maybe you're feeling this a little bit in your feet, so you need to stretch your toes the other way. Maybe you were holding your breath a little bit. Maybe take a good yawn, a good stretch. Go back to what we started with, getting a little bit of a toe stretch, a little bit of a yawn. Make sure you're still breathing. So we're doing all sorts of fun stuff for the hips. Let's come to neutral. All right, a few moments ago, and in the few poses we just did, you had your feet wide. My feet are parallel, turned forward, maybe turned out a slight bit, dropping down. And I had you pulling up on that pelvic floor and then relaxing, barf belly. Cold genitals, barf belly. Cold genitals, barf belly, okay? Cold genitals, barf belly in coordination with lifting one hip and then the other. We can do a pelvic circle. So let's start with cold genitals pulling up. Squeeze that left buttock, barf belly release. Squeeze the other buttock, pelvic floor lift, buttock squeeze, and drop. And we're going to find ourselves winding it out. We're doing this with feet wide. So hopefully you're not doing this by pelvic thrusting. It's a pelvic floor lift and drop. And a butt squeeze, alternating one butt cheek then the other, circling. And your feet are wide and you're pushing down into your heels and you're getting a little bit lower, stirring that pot. Good. It's not a chest thing. Trying to keep the upper body still. Knees are wide. And stir up to the top. Take a moment to jiggle. Hinging over. Hands can go on blocks as you hinge over a little bit further. Give it a good jiggle, a good slosh. We're going to circle, wind it out the other way. Give it a jiggle. Give it a waggle. Bend your knees. Pull your belly in, hands to your lap. Inhale, come all the way up to standing. Might step your feet together for just a moment. Shake out a leg, jiggle those feet. And we're going to repeat. Step those feet wide once again. Find that customized measurement for you. You're not feeling this in the groin. You don't want to go too wide. Okay. Drop it like it's hot. Maybe your toes turn out just a smidge. Heels press down hard. Knees push wide. Pelvic floor lifts. Butt cheek squeezes. Pelvic floor drops. Other butt cheek squeezes. And you're going to, if you were doing a Polynesian dance or a belly dance, this might be called an omi, interior hip circle. But let the action come from that pelvic floor. Lift and release. Butt cheek, alternating squeezes. And maybe you get down a little bit lower. Hello, hips. Good. And come all the way up. Ooh, give it a jiggle. All right. Turn the right toes to the right. Turn all 10 toes to the right. Maybe take your stance a little bit wider. Let's turn this into a warrior two. Pelvic floor lifted. Can you hula your warrior two? Now, there's a direction that will work better for you. Clockwise, counterclockwise, whatever it is. One way will work easier than the other. So whatever way you're doing right now, that's probably your natural, easy way. Let's play with it and go the other way. Hula the other way around. And straighten up. Let's pivot the feet to go the other way. This hula action is what you hopefully can cultivate and have control of every time you come into a warrior two, like stance. Hula, omi, belly dance, whatever you want to call it. That accessibility, that ability to lift one hip, drop it, pull that pelvic floor in, release it. Hip control. Reverse the direction on your circle. Get down a little bit lower by pushing hard into your left foot. And straighten up. Ooh. Turn your toes in, give it a jiggle. Hinging over, keep jiggling. Bend your knees, hands on your lap. Exhale, pull your tummy in, come all the way up to standing. And step your feet together. Knees stay unlocked, both the knees stay unlocked. Pelvic floor lifts, squeeze one hip, pelvic floor drops, squeeze the other hip. Pelvic floor lifts, squeeze a hip, circle around and around. You got to keep your knees bent for this one. And then go the other direction. Just checking to see if you can do it with your feet narrow. Because there are stances that in yoga poses that you do with your feet narrow. So we've done a few moves here. We've done the swaying side to side. We've done the pelvic floor and lift. We've put those two together and we've got the circle. Now we're going to add a twist, the twisting action in the hips. Keep your knees unlocked. Now there's two main drivers for this twisting motion in the hips. Okay? And it's not a shoulder chest thing. It's a hip thing. Main drivers, two of them. One of them are your oblique muscles, your abdominal muscles. So find one side of your abdomen. Imagine getting poked or tickled, a little gut punch on one side, and pull back and release, and pull back and release, and pull back and release. Let's switch sides. Pull back and release, pull back and release, pull back and release. So you've got these abs pulling back and releasing, pulling back and releasing, pulling back and release, pull 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 back and release. Knees are bent as you're doing this. So you can drive this twist from your oblique ab muscles, but you can give it more oomph if you add in the hip muscles. So as you pull back on the left side, squeeze that right hip forward. And then switch, pull back on the right side, squeeze your left hip forward. And switch. Abs pull back, opposite butt muscle squeezes. Abs pull back, opposite butt muscle squeezes. Abs back, butt squeeze, abs back, butt squeeze. And get your twist on. Press your elbows against an imaginary wall behind you to help keep your chest from going anywhere. There will be a little sloshing of your boobs, but you want this to be hip driven, not elbow driven. So hands can go up or even on your shoulders, kind of staple your elbows to an imaginary wall behind you as you get your twist going. And release. Okay. Standing at the front edge of your mat, take a giant step back with your right foot. Notice there's width between my feet. There's length and width. So maybe hop that back foot a little bit wider. Front knee is bent. I've got this right leg in front. So I'm going to pull back on the right abs, squeeze the left butt cheek forward and release. Right abs, left butt cheek and release. Right abs, left butt cheek and release. I'm up on the tippy toes of the back foot so I can pivot on the ball of the back foot. My front knee is bent the whole time. Pull back on those abs, squeeze that butt cheek hard and release. Get even more intricate, even more advanced. Pull up on that pelvic floor, cold genitals and release. Cold genitals and release. Cold, cold, cold and release. One more time. Cold, 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 cold. So I'm pulling back on my right abs. I'm squeezing that left butt cheek forward. I'm pulling in that pelvic floor and I'm going to push hard into that front heel. Back leg is straight and I'm getting a little bit lower in this upright lunge. And then release. Whew. Other side. Giant step back. Right foot. Go long. Give yourself some width. The more width you have between your feet, the easier it is to balance. Up on the ball of the back foot. My back heel is lifted. Front knee is bent. Locate your left abs and pull back as you squeeze that right hip forward and release. Twist and release. And pull in that pelvic floor for good measure and release. Twist and release. Twist and release. Prying those hips open with standing poses and release. I'm on the ball of the back foot. My back heel is lifted, kind of pivoting on that back foot a little bit. One more time. Activate these abs, pull them back. Squeeze that right butt cheek, pull in that pelvic floor, push hard into the front heel. Get a little bit lower. Back leg is straight and strong. And release. Whew. I'm going to go sideways. We're going to repeat same thing we just did. I'm just giving you the sideways view so that you can see that I've got a big step between my feet. Length and width. I'm going to pull back on the abs matching the front knee. So for you, that's probably your right abs, pulling your right abs back, squeezing that left hip forward, pulling in on that pelvic floor, stamping down hard into that front foot. Get a good strong twist, 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 twist. Driving that twist from your hips. And release. Switching sides. Length and width between your feet. Front knee is bent, back leg is straight, back heel is lifted. Pull back on those abs. Squeeze the butt cheek, stamp the front foot down, pelvic floor lifted. Squeeze and get maximum twist, 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 twist in those hips. It's not a chest and shoulder thing. Driving this from the hips. And release. Whew. Switch again. This time, you got your left leg back, your right leg forward. Now pull that right ab back, squeeze your left hip forward, pull up on the pelvic floor. Push that front foot down hard, get maximum twist, and then go ahead, reach out with your left hand. Reach out with the left hand as you twist even further. Extend the other arm behind you as well. Get a big twist, drive it from your hips, pelvic floor pulled in, thighs kissing. Whew. And release. And let's switch sides. So I'm pivoting here, but I'm also stepping my back foot wide, wiggling the front foot wide. So I still have that width between my feet. Pulling back on your abs, mostly on this left side, squeezing that right hip forward, pulling up on the pelvic floor, pushing down into the front foot, reaching out with the right hand, pulling back with the left. Twist, 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 twist. Really pull those thighs together, tight. And release. Pivot into a forward fold. Toes in, heels out, and go ahead, give that a jiggle. Knees unlocked. Jiggle, 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 jiggle. Whew. knee is unlocked. Give it a jiggle. Hands on your lap. Exhale, pull your tummy in. Inhale, roll all the way up to standing. And step your feet together. Give it a shake. Woo-hoo-hoo. Let's put our moves together, what we have so far. So, stepping feet wide. All the toes turn to the right. Warrior two. Make sure you have a wide enough stride so you could push down hard into that front foot. Pull the knee back. Cold water. Squeezing this right hip, letting the left hip drop. Trying to keep your hips level. Warrior two. And then tipping your hips the other way. So pulling up on this left hip, dropping the right thigh, right buttock floppy. Smack it jiggles. Pulling the heel back, tipping over into your triangle pose. Toes relaxed. Good. Bending that knee, pushing down hard into the foot, keeping your hips low, dropping the left hip down, squeezing that right hip up, hiking up the hips on the right side. Cold genitals, reverse warrior two. Stamp that front foot down hard. Inhale, come on up. Good. Switching sides, toes turn the other way. The distance between your feet is probably good. Go ahead, drop it like it's hot. Push down hard into that front foot. Turn the knee out. Pelvic floor, cold water. Left hip engage. Right butt cheek dangling for your warrior two. Turning your warrior two into a triangle. Dropping that left hip. Squeezing that right hip up. Kind of like you're pulling on tight pants. Tipping over into that triangle pose. And tipping your hips the other way. Keep that pelvic floor engaged. Stamp that front foot down hard. Drop the right buttock. Pull up on that left hip. Reverse warrior two. And inhale, come all the way up. Step your feet together. Or if you're like me, you're just going to pivot, staying on one mat. Step your feet together, look towards the screen if that helps you. Stepping back with that left foot, front knee is bent. Hop that back foot a little wider, move the front foot a little bit wider. Let's turn this into our warrior one. Pulling back on your right abs, squeezing your left hip forward, cold genitals, pushing that front foot solid down into the ground. Good, warrior one. From warrior one, twist that warrior. Squeeze those inner thighs together. Pull back on that right ab. If it works for you to start to straighten the front leg and tip over, you might find yourself coming into a revolved triangle. Then the front knee. Come back up into that twisted warrior one. Back into regular warrior one. And then let's switch sides. So you can step forward, step back, shake out a foot or two, or just pivot, whatever works for you. And we'll do the other side. Right foot back, put some width between your feet. Front knee bends for warrior one. Back heel can be lifted. Some people call this crescent lunge when the back heel is lifted. Push that front foot down, pull in that pelvic floor, cold water, and twist those hips. You should feel your upper thighs kissing like you got to pee and you're holding it in. Get even more twist. Twist that torso. Keep pulling back on that left ab, squeezing that right hip forward. Begin to straighten the front leg as you tip over into your revolved triangle. Working those hips. Coming back up into that revolved warrior one. Squeezing those thighs together, big twist. Into standard warrior one or crescent lunge, whatever you want to call it. Stamping that front foot down, knees still turned out, pelvic floor pulled in, twisting those hips, and then straightening up all together. Our recovery position, toes in, heels out, give it a jiggle, knees unlocked. Jiggle, 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 let everything flap. You were just working it, now you're letting it jiggle. Hinging over. And settle down, come to a bit of stillness. Find your breath, calm that down. Smooth, steady breathing. Melting into your forward fold. Now you have tools and you can play with this if you want to. There's really not much to see here, so go ahead, drop your head. I can demonstrate all day, but you might not be able to see it on camera. But what I am doing, and if you choose to join me, is keeping my knees unlocked and spreading those heels hard. And again, it doesn't look like anything, and I'm not turning around to show you what my backside looks like. So knees are bent, heels are spreading, and you'll feel that in your hips. Stretching those muscles you were just working. And if you like, you can join me and turn this into a downward facing dog. So in a downward facing dog, use up most of the length of that yoga mat. Keep both hands and feet on the same surface. Keep your knees unlocked, maybe even keep your heels lifted and spread those heels, spread out your backside, stick out your butt. And then find that lower belly, find those cold genitals, pull up on that pelvic floor to support your mid and lower back. So you don't want to let your guts fall out. Keep those guts pulled up in the downward facing dog. And breathe. Now feel free to stay in downward facing dog for another moment or two. If you have your hand weights nearby, go ahead and get those ready. If you need to run and go get those hand weights, go run and get them. The hand weights are completely optional, but I'm going to use mine. And you can go with 3s, 5s. I wouldn't go much heavier than 5-pounders. But if you have them, go ahead and grab them. Please join me. Come on up to standing. We're going to continue stretching out those hips. So I've got my little weights here on my hips. Shoulders up, back, and down. Knees unlocked. Shift all your weight over onto that left foot. Bring that right knee up. Cross your ankle onto your lap. Sit down. Oh, hello, hip stretch. Put a hand on your lap. Help get that ankle up onto your lap. Sit down a little bit lower. Shoulders up, back, and down. And if you feel like adding in a little bicep curl, that is completely optional. But what's interesting with this little bicep curl, even though you are standing on one foot, introducing this bicep curl suddenly gets a little easier to balance because you're not so stiff anymore. It's okay to move and jiggle a little bit and sit a little bit lower. And breathe. Now I'm not counting reps because I'm terrible at doing that. Feel free to count if you like. And just notice how giving yourself permission to jiggle and move a little bit allows you to maintain your balance. Keep sitting down low, getting that hip stretch. Now I've got my hand on my lap. I'm not pushing the knee down. I'm kind of spreading the knee wide. You can even find the inner thigh meat and kind of turn it out. Show me the inseam of your pants. And when you've had enough balance, enough reps on one side, you're gonna head switch. Shoulders up, back, and down, standing on that right foot, left ankle onto your lap. Grab it, get it on up there. Good. And work on turning that leg out, showing me the inseam, turning the leg out, pushing the knee wide. And then you can add a couple bicep curl reps here. And just breathe. Even if you don't have a hand weight, just moving around a little bit actually helps you maintain your balance a little bit longer. Sit down low. How low can you go? And breathe. We're going to do a few more reps here. And then stand up And get to set the weight down for just a moment. Big inhale, both arms up and overhead. Big stretch. Oh, that feels good. And release. Locate that right leg. Going to cross that right leg behind. Both knees are unlocked. Thighs squeeze together. If that's your right leg behind you, you're going to take your right arm into the air. Get a good stretch. I've got my hand on my hip here, and I'm actually pushing my hips to the right. Both knees are bent. Big hip stretch. Stretching out all those muscles we've been working. And release. Let's switch sides. Take that left leg, cross it behind. My knees are bent. I know it doesn't show too well on camera here, but both knees stay bent. Left leg behind, left arm in the air, right hand on the hips, pushing the hips to the left. Opening up that side body. Breathing. And come on up. Whew. All right. Right leg's going to cross behind. You're going to put all your weight on that right leg. So now your left leg is crossed on top. Wrap it up. Both knees are bent. Big inhale up. And exhale. Palms are forward, shoulder shrug. Inhale up. Exhale back and down. Squeeze those thighs together. Inhale, both arms up. And exhale down. Palms forward. Squeeze those thighs together. Shoulder shrug up. Back and down. Whew. And release. Let's switch sides. Left leg crosses behind. Put all your weight on that left leg. It means your right leg is on top. Both knees are bent as you wrap your legs. Palms forward, shoulder shrug. Inhale up. Exhale back and down. Squeeze your thighs together. Inhale, arms up. Exhale down. Palms forward for shoulder shrug. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale, arms up. And exhale down. Palms forward, shoulder shrug. And release. And you get to repeat that with or without weights. It's completely optional. If you don't have the best balance this morning, I'd recommend doing it without weights. You don't want to accidentally drop them on yourself. But if you're feeling confident and strong and you want a little bit more challenge, and then once again, cross that right leg behind, put all your weight on it. Left leg wraps over top. Squeeze your thighs together like you gotta pee. Pull in that pelvic floor. See that waistband moved? Cold water. Sit down low. Shoulders up, back and down. Inhale up. And down. Palms forward, shoulder shrug. And down. I feel more grounded with weights. I feel more stable. And down. Palms forward, up, back and down. I'm not really lifting these weights much higher than my shoulders. And again, light weights. Don't want anything too heavy. You want to have control over this. Up and down and shoulder shrug and up and down and shoulder shrug. One more time, up and down and shoulder shrug. Whew. If anything, my standing foot is the most challenging part of the pose. So you might need to shake out your foot, because I do. That little foot is doing everything it can to hold my whole body up. That's why it's a good idea to give those feet a jiggle, give them a stretch. And then let's do the other side. So you're crossing that left leg behind. You're gonna put all your weight on that left leg. Your right leg is on top, wrapped up nice and tight. Pull in that pelvic floor, cold water, shoulders up, back and down, knees are bent. Go for flying. Take flight. In eagle pose variation, shoulder shrug up, back and down, up and down, and shoulder shrug. Again, I like this with weights. It makes it easier to balance. I feel more grounded. But you do you. And again, I don't recommend going much heavier than 5 pounds. 3 pounds is probably ideal. Just in case you lose balance and have to drop a weight, I wouldn't want to trash 8-pound weights onto the floor. Good shoulder shrug. Check in with your toes. Try to relax that standing foot. And how about one more time? Up and down and shoulder shrug and release. Whew. Let's come into a forward fold. So feet are comfortable, hip width apart, knees are bent, and you're going to hinge over, shaving down. Set your weights down, come into a nice forward fold. You can put hands on blocks, hands on your weights, maybe even hands on the floor, depending on how short your legs are. Find yourself in a nice forward fold. Knees stay bent. From this forward fold, transition into a downward facing dog. And take your happy dog for a walk, pedaling your feet, letting your hips sway side to side. Taking your happy dog for a walk, pedaling your feet. And rise up onto tippy toes, bend your knees, bring your knees down to the mat. Hands beneath your shoulders, knees beneath your hips. I've got my toes curled under. Exhale, arch your back into cat pose. Inhale, head up, tail up, come into cow. Exhale for cat. Inhale for cow. As you exhale into cat, cold water, pull in that pelvic floor. Relax your butt. Inhale, come into cow. Pukey belly. Relax your butt, spread your heels. Exhale, pelvic floor pulls in. Cold water, cat. Inhale, spread your heels, spread your knees, but your knees and heels don't go anywhere. Pukey belly, cow. Exhale, cat. Pulling up on that pelvic floor, arching your back. And come to neutral. All right, on hands and knees, stretch your right leg back. I've still got my toes curled under. I'm getting a calf muscle stretch. Find that right hip pocket and dump out the pocket change. Swing that right heel a little wide out to the side. Maybe even pivot on the foot to put the pinky toe side of the foot. Move my pillow out of the way. Put that pinky toe side of the foot down towards the ground. Dumping out the pocket change. Feeling that lovely lower back and hip stretch. And release, other side. Left leg curls back, toes curled under. Dumping out the pocket change, pivoting to the pinky toe side of the foot. Keeping that lower belly pulled up. Cold water, even here. Feeling that spread across your lower back and hips. And release. All right, you get to lie down now. Have your blocks, belt, pillow, all your fun stuff nearby. Lying down on your back. Knees bent, feet flat. Take your feet as wide apart as the mat and let those knees tick-tock side to side. Get a good twist. So notice as you tick-tock those knees side to side and you get that lower body, lower back twist to happen, the trailing leg is turning in. If your knees are going left, that right leg is turning in. And when your knees go right, the left leg is turning in. That feeling of spread across your lower back and hips. Try to exaggerate that twist, that rotation in the hip. So when your right butt cheek lifts up, squeeze that right butt cheek. Push that right knee down and away. Get maximum twist in that hip. You can lengthen out your side waist and lower back. And release. When your hips fall to the right, squeeze that left butt cheek. Twist that left leg. Push that left knee down and away. And release. You want even more engagement? As your hips fall to the left, you squeeze that right butt cheek, pull up on that pelvic floor, cold water. You can tuck in your front ribs like you're getting tickled. And release. Knees go right, squeeze the left butt cheek, push that left knee down and away, pull on that pelvic floor, tuck in those front ribs. And release. All right. Knees bent, feet flat. Push into your feet, lift your hips up, swing your hips over to the right and drop them down. You're gonna take your right leg, got chickens, cross that right leg over top. So left foot's on the floor, right leg's crossed over top, hips have shifted over to the right, and you're gonna take this into a twist. Big twist, really prying open your lower back. Squeeze your thighs together like you gotta pee. Even do that little pelvic thrust tilt, cold water thing. Get even more. Release. And unwind. Uncross, feet go flat, push into your feet, lift your hips up, shift your hips over to the left, drop them like it's hot. Left leg goes on top. Knees fall over to the right. Big twist, squeezing your thighs together like you gotta pee, pulling in that pelvic floor, pushing that top hip over even more. Big twist. And unwind, uncross, come back to neutral. Stretching out. And as you stretch out, spread out. Nice long stretch. Reach through fingers, reach through toes. Snow angel, your hands down by your hips. Settle yourself in. Shrug your shoulders underneath your body. Shake your head no, wiggle your jaw. Maybe even yawn. And just observe how you feel this morning.